Hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and this hypnosis session is all about light sensitivity and sensory overstimulation. And I was working with a client that had a specific experience that made them have very severe migraines directly connected to either too much brightness, and that could be sunlight, that could be screens, it could just be going outdoors, or noises. And that could be loud noises, it could be conversations, it could be traffic. So effectively, what they were doing before working with me was hiding themselves away, becoming very much a recluse in dark, quiet environments. And that's good if you're an animal like a bear or a squirrel hibernating, but not so good if you're a human and you want to interact with other people and other situations. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session are elements of directly working with the suggestion that these things are recalibrating and adjusting to be okay. And a useful way of thinking about when the body adapts as a result of something traumatic or specific is that the body is healing. And that's a healing metaphor is quite useful in that context. So think about if you twisted an ankle, it might swell for a period of time, but you get a sense that you have to keep the weight off your ankle for a period of time while it's healing. And that's quite useful to think about that with things like anxiety or overstimulation or migraines. That what if it's a reaction to keep you safe, but it's healing and recalibrating so that it's going to get less and less while it's returning to normal. And that's a very, very powerful suggestion for things like this. And also there is this element of future pacing. So imagining having the resources in the context, but turning a high stakes environment into a low stakes environment. So if you're worried about being in social situations, feeling that you can just leave those social situations early if you don't want to be there, makes it feel that you're not obligated to stay. And that feels empowering because you have more choice. Now, this was created for an individual. So if you have migraines or if you have, let's say, light sensitivity, sound sensitivity, some of these suggestions may be useful, but some of them may be highly relevant to the client I was working with and not quite right for you. So ignore any suggestions that don't fit you like a glove and hone into those that feel empowering and relevant for you. And if you like the idea of working with me directly, take a look in the show notes or the description and you'll see a link to book a free consultation call. We'll have a chat and we could end up working together where I'm your hypnotherapist rather than the guy you listen to on a podcast. So for now, find a quiet, relaxing place, ideally the kind of place where you're not going to be disturbed. Relax and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in, and as you breathe in that resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation, and as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close, and as they close, give yourself permission to settle. And if that means adjusting or repositioning your body to facilitate deeper feelings of relaxation, allow yourself to do that. That's it. And just imagine slowing down the pace of your breathing. Breathing in longer and slower. And as you exhale, just allow the outward breath to continue longer than it normally would. In fact, place a hand on your lower belly, and as you breathe in so that hand moves. Many people breathe from the throat or the chest, but just imagine breathing there from the diaphragm, rising on the inward breath, and as you exhale, feeling that hand move again, rising and falling. That's it. Because when you breathe from the lungs, you require effort. When you breathe from the diaphragm, you create that vacuum that automatically expands your lungs, meaning you're breathing deeper and using less energy. That's it. Connect to that slow, long inward breath and a relaxing outward exhale. But now imagine when you breathe in, you're breathing in a feeling of healing, maybe a healing white light. Breathing in that healing, and as you exhale, just imagine any stress, any worries, any evaluations that weren't true starts to melt away and leave your body in that outward breath, almost like breath by breath. It's taking you deeper and deeper relaxed. The deeper you breathe, the more relaxed you feel. And the more relaxed you feel, the deeper you breathe. That's it. Connect with that wonderful feeling. A feeling of ever increasing relaxation. And I want you to come to a logical conclusion here in this moment. That as you breathe in and breathe out, all of this is a choice. Choosing to relax, choosing to breathe deeper. Everything feels like a choice. And at any moment you could shift, move, open your eyes or stop. And just knowing that creates a wonderful feeling of safety. Because here, there's no effort required, no goal to reach, nothing to achieve. Feel that you're just allowing your body to do what it already knows how to do. And as you notice the natural rhythm of your breathing, not changing it, just noticing, you may begin to sense that a subtle feeling of permission is spreading through your body. I want you to get a sense that everyone in life has a false alarm, a near miss, an overreaction. And I want you to think of that time when your whole nervous system experienced something that in the moment felt overwhelming. But now you know that event wasn't true. It wasn't permanent. And you're already recalibrating, perhaps to something even better than before. And at that moment, your attention, your vigilance, your protective coping strategies were dialed all the way up. Back then, your mind thought that you had to pay attention to every sound, notice everything that you could see. In that moment, awareness became hyper-focus. That's it. Relax into that feeling. Breathing in deep, exhaling for long. As you reflect on that, how wonderful your brain and your body is to do anything to protect you. But what if all of that intense protection was somewhat of an overreaction? And what if that protection is no longer required? So instead of fighting it, what if we allow the nervous system to relax and stand down? And maybe you could imagine a dial. The kind of dial or gauge or fader perhaps that controls sensory intensity. And without touching it, without effort, you may notice it beginning to turn itself down all by itself, perhaps returning to a comfortable, natural baseline. I want you to imagine just for a moment that your eyes are not windows but filters. Sophisticated, intelligent filters. And what if light passes through them only at the level that feels comfortable? Isn't that what your pupil is for? To allow more or less light in, depending on what feels useful. And you've had that experience of having your eyes closed, and you open them in a bright room and everything seems too bright. But it only takes seconds until your eyes, your brain recalibrate. If your brain needs less light, your pupils get smaller. And if it's a dark room and you need to see something, maybe your pupils dilate to allow more light in. So imagine your eyes, your brain knows how much light can pass through them without you feeling uncomfortable. Where sunlight becomes enjoyable, a bright screen becomes functional, a dark room becomes a place of relaxation. Because your visual system remembers how to do this. Because it's been doing it automatically your whole life. So allow it to return to normal function effortlessly. And you don't need to check it. And you don't even need to test it. Because normalization, recalibration, and adjustment happens in the background. And I wonder if you could imagine sound as distance rather than force. What if a restaurant hum becomes texture? Laughter becomes a rhythm, and music becomes movement. Because those people with synesthesia do that anyway. Sounds become colors, and colors become textures. Light becomes a feeling. And what if you allow your brain and your nervous system to give light and sound different feelings and meanings so you can handle it much easier, or give you the ability to simply screen it out by focusing on something else. No one is ever trapped in sound. Sound moves around you, not through you. And if at any point you're in an environment where you wish to leave, you could. Because that option always exists. But there's a paradox. Because you know you can leave, your body no longer feels the need to. As you accept the suggestion that safety restores tolerance, the safer you feel, the more tolerant of any light and sound or noise your brain and body can handle. I want you to get a feeling that you can manage expectations ahead of time for any busy social situation. Letting people know you may need to leave early means people don't feel confused or annoyed or frustrated if you do. So just allow yourself to make that your own safety net, giving you the option to leave whenever you needed to, but knowing you may not need to leave at all. And I wonder if you could imagine yourself in the near future, not months or years, but days or weeks. And imagine yourself walking into a social space and see that version of you surrounded by bright lights and looking normal. Or see you in a noisy, loud environment, but sound feels manageable. Observe that future version of you where your body feels present, but not alert, and certainly not on guard. Step into that future version of you and feel how it would feel to be living that wonderful social life. And just imagine that even if there are bright lights or noises, none of it phases you. You chose to be there, And you can choose to leave whenever you want. But I want you to also realize that connection can amplify healing. Smiling faces, the warmth of a hug, laughter, being connected with new information and updates. I want you to get a sense that all of that is good for the body, the mind, and the soul. Humans don't do well when they're isolated. They need connection. And I want you to feel empowered to reconnect, because the reconnection assists with the recalibration. Feel what it would feel like to be living with that wonderful feeling that things are back to normal, that healing has been happening quietly, steadily, almost automatically. And then just imagine it's the end of the day and you start thinking of sleep, not as a requirement, but as an invitation. Your body already knows how to heal. Sleep simply increases the probability. And so gently, naturally, imagine yourself indulging or enjoying in the rituals that signal safety. Maybe that's reducing screen time earlier. Maybe it's the feeling of warm water on your skin. Maybe that's those slow, long, relaxing breaths. Or perhaps just thinking about all of those things you're grateful for. Not rules, but signals. Signals that your nervous system responds by relaxing and calming down. You will accept the idea that sleep deepens when it's not demanded, and rest restores when it's allowed. And even on nights of light sleep, healing continues. Your body compensates, always has, always will. Take a moment now to sense something profound or fundamental. That your system is resilient. Your awareness is stabilizing. Your life is opening again. Light returns to light, and sound returns to sound, and social spaces return to connection. And the body remembers, I am safe to live fully again in every area of your life. For work, socially, personally. Imagine what that future's like. Perhaps not just getting back to normal, but enhancing it. Sometimes difficult times lead to a feeling of deep appreciation for what we have. Connect to that feeling, because in a moment I'll invite you to leave this place in your imagination and return back to the here and the now. But you will return back with your eyes less sensitive to light, your ears less sensitive to noise, a deep, deep feeling that your body knows how to sleep. It knows how to relax. But also, your social life will very soon get easier. You'll feel more confident, and even just attempting signals to your brain that you're ready, which only enhances the healing. And if all parts of your subconscious agree, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And just think of that inner table of all of your most influential parts helping you now in your social life, in your sleep, in your eyes and in your ears. Thank them all and then float back, all the way back to the here and the now. Take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, connect and calibrate into the here and the now as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake. Thank you so much for joining me on today's episode of The Hypnotist. If you've enjoyed this episode or got some value from it, please give it a 5-star rating and review. And maybe you know someone that would also benefit from this particular episode, in which case share the episode with them so they can also get the benefit too. And if you would like to listen to this episode where it's just the hypnosis, so no intro, no outro, no explanation, just the hypnosis and completely ad-free, there will be a link in the description where you can subscribe at a very low cost and only get access to the hypnosis. So if that's of interest, please check that out. Thank you again for being a regular listener of The Hypnotist, and I'll see you again soon for more.